Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Ashley Mailloux, taking a peek at the DRF race of the day for Sunday, November the 24th. It's race number 7 at Del Mar. Before we take a look at the field for the Grade 3 red carpet, it's our biggest sale of the year at DRF, the Black Friday sale, 20% off just about everything in the DRF shop. Head on over to shop.drf.com. Use the coupon code BF2024. You can use that coupon code as many times as you like. Here's the field for the red carpet. Remember to access your free Formulator Pass performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. This is a pretty evenly matched group, Ashley, with several horses trying this demanding 11 furlong distance for the first time.
Yeah, it's pretty evenly matched top to bottom. I felt like on paper, not a ton of pace, which should certainly muddle things going the mile and 3/8 trip. But if you made me pick a horse that probably stands out, it probably is Forever After All, just coming out of those back-to-back graded stakes competition tries and has been on the road in her last several starts. So it's going to be her first time, though, at Del Mar.
And the last time she raced in Southern California, that was the Gamely, a grade 1. She ran very well to be third. She certainly fits with this caliber of competition. As we throw up our time form US pace projector, there may not be a ton of speed in here. The 3, Everything Bugs Me, is stretching out in distance. She's been chasing faster fractions in shorter distance races. That's why she's so close to the pace. Marksman Queen at least has been on the lead in her last 2 starts. And maybe the number 1, I'm a Joker, has found her preferred running style after wiring a field last time out.
Yeah, I would actually think that the 2 pace setters in here are the 6 and the 1. I'm not convinced about the 3. I know those races have been at shorter distances, and sure, some of them she's been a little bit more forward, but I'm a Joker last time out at 1.25 miles, took them gate to wire, draws the inside. A Doug O'Neill runner, I just feel as of late in her last, 3 of her last 4, she's been more forward. I think she'll be part of the speed.
If the pace is surprisingly fast, you might want to keep an eye on the 7 Mahina, who has the fastest time form US late pace rating, but her late kick and victory last time out came at only a mile. Let's start things off with I'm a Joker, and they stretched her out last time out, and it was a successful stretch out. She went right to the lead. She was able to go pretty solid fractions up front, and then she was able to sprint on home. So I think this distance is what she's been waiting for. The problem is, I'm not really sure I love the field she beat that day, and this is a big step up in class.
Yeah, it's certainly a big step up. I thought out of overall, out of her performances, obviously last time out would have been the preferred. Just the way that she did it, I thought she looked pretty comfortable on the front end. Mentioned it was at 1.25 miles. She does have to go further, and you mentioned she does take a step up in class. I think if you don't like her, you're at least wondering what she's going to do from that pace perspective, if she's going to be involved or not, because when you kind of compare her to others as we get down to the page, Marksman Queen, for example, she went on the front end last time out 1.5 miles of Keeneland, but they went really slow. The fraction's much different for Iowa Joker last time out.
The 2 is Forever After All, and as Ashley mentioned in the open, there's just a ton to like about this mare. She seems to show up every time. The problem is she doesn't win very often. Lots of runner-up efforts on her page, including this race. Her most recent start, the Dowager, I thought she got a very good trip. She was able to save ground. She dives towards the inside. She begins to lengthen her stride, and she's just nipped at the wire by a quality marathoner named Chop Chop. All in all, a good performance for Forever After All, and maybe she's just found the right spot from a class standpoint on Sunday.
And the race at Keeneland was her first time going 1.5 miles. She's cutting back in distance. I think that's key with her. I thought overall, though, she ran very good. And you just start to wonder, when you go down the page, has she just faced way better than the others in here? We're talking about the types of walkathon, Anisette, full count Felicia. We're talking about Breeders' Cup type horses as you kind of look down the page. I just think this is class relief for her, and the cutback probably suits her well. But you bring up a very valid point. She does not win a lot. She's just 2 for 19 in her career.
Everything Bugs Me, the number 3, is still eligible for a non-winners of 2 life after a maiden victory last time out at Del Mar. At least she showed she liked the surface, and she showed off a pretty strong kick. But it's worth noting, the early 1/4 mile of that race, boy, they went pretty quick, and I think it set things up for Everything Bugs Me. Mike Smith takes the mount. She's going to stretch out significantly for the first time.
Yeah, and I think the opening quarter helped her because if you compare that to a race on August 2nd at Del Mar, it also helped that she was further off of it. When she was chasing fractions like that, she was nowhere to be found. So she got a little bit of pace help last time out. Not sure what she technically beat there. This is a huge step up to face winners for the first time. She's a little bit of a tough sell for me, but the barn doing very well from a limited number of starts at the meet.
Another horse stretching out in distance and stepping up in class is the 4 Moments Pleasure. This is a California bred who just missed as the favorite last time out in a first level allowance, going a mile and a 16. She's very consistent. She hits the board more often than not, but it's a different story from a class standpoint here. Maybe she could sort of sneak into the number at a price.
She's had some really big figures, whether it's been the Solana Beach, the Franz Valentine when she was runner up behind Stay and Scam. Kind of buyers that would put her in the mix with some of the others in here. But you mentioned off of her last couple, she's really going to need to improve against this level, just jumping up in the swing time two back. I didn't like her performance at all. I thought she took a step forward last time out, but it was class relief. And my concern with her is she's going to stretch out considerably further than others in here that might be, stretching out a furlong or cutting back a furlong. She's going from a mile and a 16th to a mile and 3/8. My concern with that move is what sort of trip is she going to get overall? I'm not really sure where I see her.
Mrs. Astor is the number 5, and she's going to be making her third start of the form cycle. She chased Forever After All last time out in the Dowager. I didn't see much of an excuse, Ashley. It looked like she was following Forever After All while saving ground. She gave an even finish. Maybe she has slightly more upside than that one.
Yeah, my tough thing with her is I think she has talent. I think she's been, a consistent type, but I think she just leaves herself with too much work to do late. And I think that was kind of a little bit of what happened last time out in the Dowager. I don't mind her cutting back though. Her race two back at Colonial was nice to see her get back in the winner's circle, as it had been quite some time since we had seen that. But look at her, some of her races where she's been at Kentucky Downs and Santa Anita in the past. I mean, she's at the back of the pack. I don't think she can afford to be that far off of it going this long.
Graham Motion historically has had a lot of success shipping horses out to Southern California, and he's showing a lot of confidence with the 6, Marksman Queen, who's stepping up into a graded stakes race for the first time in her career, despite being beaten in her most recent start. Now, this was her first race at an elongated distance, a mile and a half, and maybe she's found her niche at these longer distance races. I wonder if Frankie Dettori moved just a hair too soon with his sprint for home here, going a mile and a half, opens up the lead and just gets pipped on the line.
Yeah, you wonder. It's tough to say. Maybe he moved a tad quickly on her, but at the same time, she is a filly who her best races have been when she's been forward, and she was out there. And maybe that was another thing. She's going a mile and a half for the first time in her career. Kind of got a little lonely out there, and maybe just decided to take it easy. And that's what sometimes horses do. They pull themselves up. They don't see the competition, and that's what happens. I thought it was a good performance. My biggest concern about that is the time of the race. They went very slow early. And I think here she's cutting back in distance. What's going to happen if she takes any sort of pressure? In the past, shorter distances, when she's taken some pressure, she hasn't necessarily been that reliable in the final jumps.
This will be her graded stakes debut, while the 7 Mahina steps up into a stakes race of any kind for the first time, but at least she's doing so in fine form, rallying down a first level allowance last time out. But that race was only a mile at Santa Anita. We'll learn a lot more about her quality in this race as she steps up in class, and certainly distance ability. Or the one time she ran a mile and an eighth, it was a good third.
It was a good third. She got a little bit of pace help though. They went 47 and 2. Now they're going to go further. Another one that I think she could be potentially pace compromised. When she won last time out, they went quick enough early, especially the opening quarter, just sub 23 by a hair there, that she was able to close. And she wasn't dead last. Sometimes she is dead last in her races. And I'm just kind of curious what the trip will be from Hector Barrios. Obviously, he was aboard last time out, got a little familiar with her in that race, and maybe they'll be able to work out a trip. But you can't knock her in the sense that she's very consistent, Dan, compared to others in here, a little bit more reliable.
I wonder if the 8 Queens commands a little bit of a sleeper. She started her North American journey earlier in the year for Phil D'Amato in Southern California. And she had some success, especially at a mile and a quarter, finishing second in the Santa Ana. They shipped her to the East Coast. It didn't seem to work out well for her over there. And while she was beaten last time out in the Swing Time Stakes, her return to the D'Amato barn, I wonder if she moved at the most inopportune time. Just as the leaders started to sprint away, she began her mid-race move, and then she flattened out. The runner-up came back to win an allowance race at Del Mar with an 83 buyer. Something tells me D'Amato's figured her out.
Yeah, the run line would suggest just that, right? A little bit of an early move, and she just got unlucky in that spot. She only missed, though, by 3.5. It was her return, as you mentioned, to Southern California. If you go back to her races earlier this year, her first 2 starts here, I think there's some talent, and maybe she's worth a look in here. It's just whether or not you can decide what to do with her last 4. She didn't show up in any of her races in Kentucky. Maybe you draw a line through the one at Kentucky Downs. We talk about that all the time, but neither of the races at Churchill. Maybe that's another surface you draw a line through. So maybe there's a case to be made. I think she becomes more interesting if she's a good price.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for the Grade 3 red carpet. We need Forever After All to get over the hump. Lots of second place finishes, but just her class lines, her recent performances, she just seems to like the distance. There are just a lot of boxes to tick, other than the fact that she doesn't win very often.
No, she doesn't win often, but I think she finds herself against a group. I mean, it took her a while to figure things out, trying to graduate. It was a different ball game. I think she's been much better since switching to either the synthetic or the turf, and this distance should be perfect for her. I think looking at last out efforts, probably most impressed by her, even though she came up a nose short, which is a commonality for her. To me, she's entering here with the best form.
We're going to focus on horses, at least in our top 2 picks, that like this extra distance and are proven. You're going 2, 6, 5, and 1. I'm going 2, 5, 7, and 4. Maybe Mahina, of the ones that have yet to try this distance, has the most upside and strongest kick. It'll be an interesting edition of the Grade 3 red carpet, the DRF race of the day on Sunday. Best of luck. Hey, let me give you a hot tip. If you liked the content that you've seen before, click on the like and subscribe button right here. And of course, for more DRF videos like Race of the Days, stakes previews, click on the videos right here.